As We Heal is a space for open conversation, personal stories, and diverse perspectives. The experiences shared in this episode are unique to each individual and may not reflect the experiences of others. Nothing discussed should be taken as professional advice. Please consult an appropriate professional for support relating to your own health, well-being, or circumstances. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of As We Heal. Today, I am incredibly excited because we have Ashleigh. Ashleigh has an incredible community of women. She creates content that gets you to question all those narratives that have been embedded in your mind by society. She is a homeschooling mama and she works in everything to do with mindset and psychology. And I am so excited to have you here today, Ashleigh. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and to dive into all things healing. So, for anyone who doesn't know you, would you mind giving a short introduction on who you are and how this journey of yours has started?
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for having me here. I'm excited for this conversation today. It's been a long journey, so to keep it short, I think my healing journey really began when I lost my mum when I was 21 years old. It was just a process from there, really. That was a big catalyst for me. And then the entrepreneurial journey. So I've been an entrepreneur for almost a decade, and it definitely gets like the personal development in the entrepreneurial space is next level because you're really having to face off with your limiting beliefs and everything that comes up there. So that's honestly been the two biggest catalysts for me in the last just over 10 years.
Wow, that is incredible. And I completely resonate with that as someone who's been in this entrepreneurial space too since 2019 now. I remember taking that dive into something of my own, and I had to question so many things. Am I going to be able to fund my life? Am I enjoying what I do every single day? How do I create balance between work and life? And there are so many of these things where society embeds so many thoughts into us. I believe up until the age of 7 and onwards as well, that I had to relearn and question and ask myself and really dig deep within. And on your journey, from someone who's seeing you now, what is the biggest difference between it went into a massive deep dive into your page and I was like, wow, you were talking about all those things that I sit and think about, and I loved it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, honestly, it's not even been a one version to this version now. There's been so many versions in between. There's a beautiful song that talks about like all the different women she's ever been. And it's like those bones are still in me and looking back on all those pieces of myself with so much gratitude because yeah, even in like recent years, there was times where you just didn't want to keep going. Like it gets so hard sometimes
Mhm.
when things don't feel like it's shifting. And it's such a test on your resilience and your discipline and your vision. And just for me, there's never been another option. There's never been a plan B. Like, I just feel that I have such a mission on my heart to impact on such a larger scale and make a real difference. And it's the thing that brings me the most joy and the most fulfillment in life as well. Yeah, in those times, I just kept going and looking back at all the different versions of me. I look completely different. I sound completely different. I think, when you first start creating content, even we speak a lot higher up like this, and we're not embodied, open throat chakras, like feeling empowered to speak our truth. So we hold the breath up in our chest and we speak that bit higher. And as I've gotten more comfortable and embodied in it, my voice sounds lower. And I actually love
Yes.
it. So there's so many differences. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I hear that completely. My friend and I were on a walk the other day and she was talking about just that. My friend is in drama school and they learn a lot about speaking from your stomach, from your gut. And I was telling her as well, like how I feel as though ever since I've started having these deep conversations and more publicly as well, because I feel like I've always been quite a deep dive person, I notice myself now I'm speaking from my heart, I'm speaking from my throat, and I'm speaking as I go. There's no thought to it. Whereas there's a space in content creation where we do sit, we do prepare, we do think and we script, but there's also a part where you want to just talk from the heart, and it's almost like channeling, isn't it?
It really is. Honestly, like when I get into a flow with a conversation like this or with my content, it literally feels like it channels through me. It doesn't feel like it is me, like it's through me. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, totally. And Ashleigh, you talk a lot about subjects that people easily tend to dismiss, things like psychic abilities, intuition, consciousness, the CIA, which is I know something that you spoke about more recently. And I am an absolute fanatic for these conversations. Love them. But what gave you the confidence to explore this more publicly?
I was always that way as a kid. I always questioned why everything was the way it was. And that's just continued for me into adulthood, where even I would look at money and ask all these questions about why, when we're as a country, we're in debt, like who are we in debt to and what even is money and, why are people getting married and all of these questions. And I was raised in a very straight, tick the boxes, Christian, old school farmer family. But I just didn't want to accept everything. I wanted to understand why. And so the courage came honestly from seeing that the world is waking up so much more now. I think, especially after COVID and then in recent years and the Epstein files coming out, there are a lot of people asking a lot of the same sort of questions that I've asked over the years. And I felt like people needed these conversations to be brought online. And there are so many incredible people already doing that. But my courage for myself came from a place of like, these were the conversations I was having all the time anyway. And I was feeling uninspired with the content I was making previously. And I just thought, I just want to be fully me and talk about the things that matter to me, what I find interesting. And I don't find surface level stuff interesting. I love the deep stuff. I want to ask all the questions that people think are taboo and you don't talk about that. And so, yeah, that's where I started doing all of that. And then the Instagram account's blowing up because clearly everyone wants to hear, yeah, someone asking those questions.
100%. And I think when you sit in your authenticity and are your authentic self, not only do other people notice that and are attracted to that, but you will find yourself feeling a lot more fulfilled in what you do too. I created this podcast as well from a place of being that kid too. From the age of 7, I questioned everything. I was raised in a very strict Asian household. This is the religion we follow. These are the cultural systems we follow. And there's no going outside it. And I used to be the kid who asked why. I always believed in miracles and I always believed in magic. My family would say things, oh, money doesn't grow on trees. And I would be like, why not? You know,
Yeah, literally. Why
why
can't
is
I
it
be
not?
rich?
Why can't I be rich though?
Yeah,
Why can't I own a yacht? Why do I have to think smaller?
yeah.
And I grew up realizing that actually I didn't want to shrink myself to fit in. I just didn't want to be in it.
Mm.
And so I love having these conversations and hearing that from you. You said after COVID, a lot more people are waking up. Do you feel as though this is where society is going? I mean, what do you see for our future?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question because something about waking up is realizing how many people have been awake for so much longer than you. Like, I know 60-year-olds that have known this since they were 20. And so I don't think it's going to be an overnight success thing, but I do think we're making incredible progress because I feel like this is a real mass awakening.
Hmm.
And just
Hmm.
like anything in life, it starts out small groups, a couple of people, and they've done a really good job at quietening that in many different ways over the time. And I think it's spread mass enough now that you can't silence it anymore. People want the answers, we want the truth, and we are questioning things.
Yeah, I completely hear that. What are your thoughts on, psychics and, I know you've spoken a little bit about it. I am so interested in this world. I have a group of friends who, we love talking about this whole world of which I suppose so many of us call it woo woo. But I am so deeply in tune with not just my body, but also the senses around me.
Mm.
I'm so into exercise and so into taking care and nourishing my body really well, even for my whole family. But I see it as a way of connecting deeper to myself. what are your thoughts on the world of psychics and all these mystical abilities?
Yeah, I resonate so much with what you're saying. I always felt it in my body as well. I always believed in miracles and magic, and I'd always play pretend that I was a witch with my sister and had her
Hmm.
believing that I had all these powers. And I remember when my great grandmother died, I was very young. My mum was always surprised that I could remember any of it, but I would literally climb up this tree in our backyard and sit up there for years after and talk to her. And I really believed that I was connecting with her. I felt her. And eventually, like as you grow up, you start talking yourself out of those mystical, magical miracles because you start thinking, well, you believed in Santa once, that wasn't true. Like, grow up, that's not real. And you kind of talk yourself out of it. And I think for me, I'm someone who I don't believe things lightly. I am not your gullible girl. I can sense lies and inauthenticness and energy from a mile away. I can really read someone and I'll instantly say, yep, this is going to happen. And my friends always laugh about the fact that I'm always right. I'm like, it's so predictable. I can just read those things. I love human behavior and psychology and neuro-linguistic programming, all the things about humans' minds. So for me, the more I dug into understanding quantum physics and science theories on time, even as an illusion, like scientists can't even quantify or understand time. We just know it's an illusion and they have theories of what it might be, right? The more that I go into understanding all of those things, and I hated science as a kid and in high school, but now I froth it because the more I understand that, I just feel like science keeps explaining the mystical to me, and history does too. Like that's why I hated history in high school too. But when I get to look back and see, like, especially ancient cultures and how much wisdom we can see they had, even more than us, because some of the things they built, we don't even know how they built it. And that blows my mind. And it makes me realize, like, like we have been so much more civilized, so much more full of wisdom. They all tracked astrology, these ancient cultures. And I believe that most of the things that we place importance on in 2026, it's actually the opposite. You know, the things that people call woo woo, or like, oh, that's just read your horoscope in the magazine type thing. Like, no, astrology is so legit. It is
Yeah.
actually a really detailed science and it's spot on every single time. I love human design, all those things. So, yeah, for me, studying all of this just confirms for me what I was feeling.
Hmm.
I needed the confirmation though to like get on board with my beliefs. And that really started for me with Joe Dispenza. Have you read many of his books? Yeah. And
I have a bookshelf actually with so many incredible books, and his is one of them.
yeah, his was the like first sciencey one that really got me interested. And I think like my mum died from cancer, and I believe in the earlier chapters there it's the becoming supernatural one.
Yes,
And one of
yes,
the earlier chapters, there's this woman with cancer, and then she is doing the meditations and they do all the brain scans and they have all of this data to show that she literally healed her cancer with her mind. And the book that actually got me into personal development and the healing space was when I was about 18. I'd kind of thought I had these programs and conditioning to think that I was the way I was and I was born this way. And I remember going to a therapist and leaving thinking, well, I'm screwed then. I just have all these really negative personality traits and I was just born like this. And I picked up the Louise Hay You Can Heal Your Life, I think it's called, book.
okay, yeah.
It's a really old and it's very like basic fundamentals personal development, but for me at 18 it cracked me wide open. I literally am just constantly reading like all personal development, mystical science, things to understand
Yes.
reality, understand myself. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I am exactly the same. I'm obsessed with self-help books, and I don't know if you've ever heard of, I don't know if you're very much into channeling and all that comes with that, and the science of that as well, because I feel as though that's something that is so unexplainable, but something that is very much leaned on by the highest professionals of the world, I guess you could call it. There's a book that I started reading when I was about 16, 17 years old called Cryon Books. Have you heard of them?
No.
So I will share more information with you on these, and I'll put it for anyone listening. in the YouTube details as well, but they're books about the new earth that were written in the 1990s. And they very much explain everything that we went through in 2020 through COVID. And
Yeah,
it was really interesting because I read about it when I was about 15, 16 years old. And it opened up this whole new belief system that everything is happened all at once. And
yes.
it really made me question everything about time. You sit down and you start talking about disclosure and UAPs and all of these things that they're now discussing. I feel like so many of us have known for such a long time. And when you went down this world of self-development and self-help, and it is a huge world to go down because it does open you up to so many things. What was everyone's reactions around you? You know, did you have people who really supported you? Did you have family members and friends that ended up falling off, the face of your life? What was it like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like I kept it quite private. It wasn't something that was out there, and certainly not with my family. They don't really know what I do for the last like at least 6 years. They've got no clue. They just know that
Mm-hmm.
I earn money online and post content online, but I blocked them all.
Mm-hmm.
Other than my sister, she knows me deeply and dearly and supports me through and through. The others just don't get it. And I think this is a really great piece of advice that I could give all the listeners is they don't have to get it. And that's okay. And I love my dad dearly. He would never get it. Never. He's literally studying theology to become a priest, a minister. So he's like opposite ends of the spectrum to me, but through his lens of perceiving the world, he is reaching the core fundamental truths still. And so I can still communicate with him. We have such deep, beautiful conversations. It's just not going to be in my language, it's going to be in his. So I basically adapt to speaking Japanese when I speak with him.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that's not me being inauthentic. Like, yeah, not everyone has to get me, and that's okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if someone knew you now 10 years ago, because also you are a mum, you're a mum of two young girls, and there are so many new things that you are also teaching them when it comes to homeschooling. If someone knew you 10 years ago versus seeing you who you are now, what are the main differences?
Like night and day. So I was a country girl from a small town. I was then a farmer's wife, and now I live my beachside holiday reality I have done for 3 years. And I don't really have a lot of contacts that would have known me from 10 years ago, other than family.
Hmm.
I think it's not everyone's experience of this, but my experience has definitely been one of outgrowing people and relationships and friendships. I am not the type of girl that has friends still from high school. I have acquaintances from high school, and if I ran into them, I'd probably have coffee with them. There's no dramas there, but I haven't maintained relationships from those past versions of myself. And one of the best things that happened for me was when I started the entrepreneurial journey, and this would be my next piece of advice for someone is like get around people who are living how you want to be living, who do align with you. And so I saw all these people living incredible lives that felt really value driven and heart led and visionary, and they weren't playing small. And I don't think that everyone is just making themselves small. I just think some aren't destined, like we're just bigger than that. And it's not that we're better than them. We just have a different mission, and we're here to break out of those cages. And I found my tribe of people like that and had incredible friendships and relationships through that have been really supportive. So I think you got to find your people and find where they hang out. I think the worst thing that we can do is stay in places that we've outgrown or that no longer serve us. And I was saying this to a friend this afternoon that with my career crisis that had happened in the last 2 years and this pivoting that's going on, and I still don't really know where this is taking me, I'm just trusting the ride, is that I will always be loyal to myself rather than loyal to a company, a business, or a relationship. The only people that would be an exception to the rule would be my daughters. if I'm having to be less than my authentic self or lower my dreams or something like that to make someone else feel comfortable or to keep a relationship together, I'm not going to do that. I feel like that's not only doing me a disservice, it would be doing my daughters a disservice, it would be doing my community a disservice. So yeah, I remember being in this network marketing company and everyone was all about like, be loyal to the company, loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. And it's this thing that's hyped up. And then I realized, like, what about loyalty to me if this isn't serving me? Yeah.
Yeah, I resonate that with that so deeply, and I love that you shared that because for you to be able to pour into all these different versions of yourself and all these different ways that you show up in life, you must pour into yourself. And that is choosing yourself. From someone who was a chronic people pleaser, and I became a people pleaser because I grew up in a household where I tried my very best to keep my parents together and to try and keep the home away from any kind of abuse. I took that into my adulthood, and that meant
Yeah.
saying yes to things that I genuinely didn't want to do. And in these last few years, I have been saying no, and I have been the happiest version of myself. I've been proud of myself. And now, when I see my daughter growing up, I see her growing up and, at 2 years old, holding her ground and be like, no, mommy, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you don't have to do it.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was something else I was saying with my friend this afternoon too, is how often we say no and then the other person starts manipulating or coercing us into a yes by saying, oh, but I really, really need to, and like all this stuff. And then you feel like you have to say yes. If you ever say yes because you felt pressured to say yes, it wasn't consent. That's my
Mm,
opinion. If
yes.
if it is a resounding yes through your body and you really want to say yes, that is the only time that a yes is actual consent in all areas of your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
hear
proud of
that.
you for saying no.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
scary at first.
It is scary. You have your soul, and then you have this vessel that you're in, which is this human side of us. And this human side of me, I felt anxiety of this feeling of, oh, I'm saying no. And it was having to go against the grain and then feeling better for it. And it's okay. Like, it's okay to have that discomfort. And this is something that you probably explain to a lot of your clients. Change can be really uncomfortable. What is the biggest issue that you see in today's day and age? And what do you feel as though is going to help, let's say, the majority of people listening to this to help navigate and elevate their consciousness?
Mm. Honestly, I think I've spent at least the last 5 years trying to pinpoint the one thing that would guarantee that I could support someone every time to get the results that they desire. And, the entrepreneurial space will often say things like, well, you don't want it bad enough then. And the more that you actually study human psychology, the more you realize that's not true. There are so many layers and nuances and differences to the answer and to each individual. And I always look at each person. And I think this was what I was always good at when I was a teacher as well, or a teacher's aide, is I could look at each individual child in the classroom instead of treating it as 24 kids in a class or whatever. And I could see this kid really learns visually, or if I make it more playful, or if they get to express it in this way. And for me, when I was growing up, I hated certain classes because of the way we were forced to do it. I could have given you the exact same answer or result to show you that I had learned what we needed to learn, but I could have presented it in my own unique and creative way and I would
Yeah.
have thrived so much more. And so it's a tricky one to answer. I think it goes back to what you were just talking about before, where change is hard. And I was going to say to that, I think that creates the most resistance because we are, and this is for me what helps me continue growing, is understanding that my brain is wired to keep me safe and comfort is safe. But do I want a safe and comfortable life? Hell no.
Mm-hmm.
I want to grow and I want to experience my potential and I want to reach new heights. And once it's so addictive. Once you get that feeling of it, and you go, whoa, I did that. It's the best feeling
Yeah.
to then be able to support other people to do that and they have that feeling. I'm done. Like, that is the best feeling. So I think understanding that people will choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. And so I don't make my decisions based off of what feels good or easy in the moment, especially if it's like instant gratification.
Yeah.
And it does start with self-awareness, but I'm not starting there because I feel like your listeners are going to already have that level of self-awareness and consciousness. They know what they need to do, they're just not doing it. And the number one thing I would say is create a plan and then follow the plan no matter how you feel. And when you start doing that, you can then start discerning in your body. You know, there are days where I'm in a certain time in my cycle where I might go easier in the gym, for example. But I still have a plan and I still stick to it and I still show up. I'll just go lighter. So never ever just don't do the thing. And I heard it was actually Jessie Jean. I'm not sure if you follow her on Instagram. She said about posting consistently and showing up consistently. She's like, she told herself never miss more than one day, because if you miss a day, that's fine. But if you miss more than one, it becomes a habit.
Yep.
And that's how I try to treat everything. You know, time isn't linear and time's not real. You don't need to do a million things in your day. So the thing is, most people just don't stay consistent long enough. And that is the hardest part. That is absolutely the hardest part with anything, with the personal development, because you honestly think you're getting nowhere. With the gym, you think you're getting nowhere. Posting online, you think you're getting nowhere. Business and earning online. But I swear to you that results, in my experience, and let me know if yours has been like this too, has been like compound interest, where it's like you look like you're flatlining and you're just gritting it and hard at it for
Yeah,
so freaking long, and you might be getting a little bit of results, but then all of a sudden when it starts to take, it takes.
it
And then as long
takes.
as you keep going and you ride the momentum, it is crazy cool the heights that you can reach from that.
I completely agree. And you know what? I also think it can be really uncomfortable at the beginning. When you're doing something and you're showing up, let's say, for example, showing up online, you're deciding to create a whole new page, you have a focus and you have a goal. And then you sit and think about what is everyone else going to think? That is where you kind of set this little roadblock. But when you remember that your goal and where you are trying to reach to is so much more important than the opinions of anyone else, and the
Mm-hmm.
opinions of anyone else truly only reflect their own level of consciousness in that moment in time, it's okay. And that means even if you show up, and I say this to my clients too when they're trying to manage their hormonal health, hey, we have meetings on a daily basis with work. We show up to those. So
Mm.
the same way we put those meetings in our calendar and we have them given to us by someone else, put time in your diary as a non-negotiable from your higher self. You must show up. Whether
Yeah.
that's doing a face mask, washing your hair, or going to the gym or going for a walk, it's your non-negotiable time and you
Yeah.
deserve it.
And I think too, I want everyone to know I'm not perfect. I struggle with washing my hair, shaving my legs, getting to bed on time, reading my book before bed. But there are certain non negotiables that I am really good at every single morning: my red light and 10 gratitudes every single morning. The gym, I aim for 3 to 4 times a week, my posting consistently. And then it's what I'm about to say is the important part. You have to get okay with other areas in your life maybe getting a little more chaotic because you're focusing on something new. You know, have you seen that video where the guy has like the jar? I think he's like a professor or a lecturer or something. And he puts all the stones in the jar and then he's putting all the sand in. And it's like your jar's already so full with all of these things. And if you're putting something else in, like if I then try to put water in, things are going to like overflow, right? So, you
Yes.
know, sometimes my laundry does get on top of me. And one of my friends used to always say, just blow it up and then figure it out. Just do the thing and then figure it out. So let it get messy and then you can hire a cleaner because you're making money online now, or you can hire a VA, or you can get the support you need in the other areas that you now can see you need it in. But you can't prepare for those things because if you spend all this time trying to get ready to be ready, you're never going to. It's
Yep.
like becoming a mum. We couldn't prepare ourselves for what that was going to be like. We did the best we could, but motherhood is just an initiation, and so is personal growth of any kind. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. When you said let things get messy, I spoke about this on my page. I really struggled with things getting messy. I felt as though I needed structure and I needed things to be on time. And recently, I've kind of just put this ultimate faith in the universe. do you know what? It's out my control. Let it go. And
Same.
let's see how it falls. And however it falls, I will pick it up, because there's certain experiences in life that you get taught this level of resilience, and I'm still working on it. And I think that's why the name is like As We Heal, because we're all on this healing journey. There's no matter where you see someone on social media or where you see someone in life, every single person is constantly healing from something, and we're
Yeah, it's a
constantly trying
life's
to
work.
pick up the pieces. It's a life's work. And I truly believe it's just about making it as fun as you can for yourself.
Yeah. I love what you said there because that's been a big thing for me lately too, is realizing that a lot of my life had been driven from pressure. And I had this realization, where's this pressure coming from? I'm literally putting this pressure on myself.
Hmm.
And realizing that I could literally choose at any moment to decide, no, that doesn't get my attention, or that thing actually isn't as important as I'm making it out to be, or it's not in as much of a rush as I'm making it out to be. And I've been very intentionally ensuring that anything that I'm saying yes to or anything that I'm doing is not from a place of pressure, feeling like I should. I always used to say that as soon as the word should comes out of someone's mouth, it's a red flag. That's like the people pleaser coming out. And
Hmm.
I was the worst people pleaser. And then for a long time, because I believe that we also code ourselves with what we say, our words are spells. And so don't call yourselves people pleasers, call yourself a recovering people pleaser.
Yes.
Because then it's at least framing it that we are working on this. Or you put
Yes.
it in the past and say, I used to be a people pleaser and I'm working on it.
Yes.
Because otherwise we keep putting these labels on ourselves and the unconscious mind goes, oh, okay, I'll find evidence of where you're a people pleaser then. And you'll continue
Yeah.
to show up like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that completely. Our words are spells. And I'm constantly trying to catch myself in this as well. Before you say something, you just think about what it would sound like when it comes out, and then you like realign with yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Or even I know this woman that always says, like, cancel, reject if she says something that she didn't want to say and then replaces it. Or if she gets something in life that isn't what she was like trying to call in, she'll go, nah, return to sender.
Yeah. Return to sender.
I make sure everything I do now, instead of it being from pressure, I check in with my body and make sure it's from pleasure. And so the way that you can tell that, right, is pressure is this contracted feeling, and it puts us in this state of like fight, flight, or freeze, where you're not actually going to be your most creative, intuitive, energetic self anyway. So trying to do anything from that place never ends up getting the results that you want. Whereas from a place of pleasure, you're open and you're creative and you're in flow and it feels good and it feels aligned. And then that's when all of these magical and miracle things happen for us. You know, it's like when you're trying to leave the house in the morning with the kids. If I do that from a place of pressure and rush, it's when you knock over the coffee and everything seems to go wrong. And then a kid forgot their shoes and you have to turn
Yeah.
around and go back anyway, and then you're late. Whereas if you're coming from a place of pleasure and you like put the music on, you're having a kitchen dance party and everyone's happy, in a good mood, and I mean, things always go wrong. That's life. But 9 times out of 10, that's when like unexpected, incredible things will happen. You'll run into someone and yeah, you set your day up for a good tone. And for me, I fully prepared and sat down to film a reel the other day. And it just felt like I was forcing something. And I was like, why does this feel off in my body? So I stopped and took a step back, and I realized that I felt like I should address this thing because of certain comments that were happening on a reel about marriage. And I also felt pressure from a content strategy standpoint of, well, that one's performed the best out of all my speaking reels so far. Do a like part two to it. But just because it makes sense in here or on paper doesn't mean it's actually what's going to bring the best result. I fully believe that when you lead with your pleasure and what feels good for you, your intuition, your channeling, and you're connected and co creating with the universe, that's when it works best. So I ditched it and I didn't do it. And I said, okay, well, if I just want to create whatever I want to create right now, what would it be? And I went and did this other video that's done amazing. And it felt
Yeah.
really good. And if it
Yeah.
feels good, I'm going to keep showing up too.
Exactly. Because you're sitting in an area of alignment, and you'll feel it in the energy. You know how you said, like when you start a morning and you're rushed and you leave the house and you got the pressure on, and you're kind of like, oh, where's this? Where's that? you can feel the density in the air.
Mm.
Whereas if you take 5 minutes, you take a breather, maybe make a nice hot drink that you enjoy, you chuck some music on, and then you start your morning. It's not always going to be like that. I was doing the nursery run this morning, and it was a little bit stressful, but
Chaotic.
a little bit chaotic. And it's
There's
you still
always, you've got to embrace the chaos with kids.
you
There's always
do
going to be an element of that.
you do. But then there's the little silver linings, and if you can rewire your brain just a little bit to pay attention to those little silver linings that are so easy to miss,
Mm.
you will notice there's a lot more lightness in the air that you're feeling.
If you don't mind me interrupting,
Yeah.
what you just said there is like the perfect answer to your previous question about how they can start to heal or change or grow. They're waking up, realizing you actually can rewire your brain. And it is so simple, right? The way our brain works is we have this, it's called the reticular activating system. It sits at the lower base of your spine there at the back of your brain. And it literally has like confirmation bias. It wants to seek evidence that you're always right. And if I've been looking up red cars and I want to buy this new red car, I'm going to see that exact red car everywhere I look because you've trained your brain to look for that. And it is that simple. You train your brain what to look for. So if we're constantly noticing, speaking into existence, whinging and bitching about bills, how bad our relationship is, whatever it is, if you don't want it, I heard this the other day and this is perfect. If you don't like something in your life, journal about it, write it down. Don't speak it to anyone. If you love something, speak it. How amazing is this? I'm so grateful for this, because what you speak is what you're going to speak into your existence.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I do my gratitude every morning. And it's not, you can't be doing the gratitude in a place of cliche, my health, and I have a house with running water and heaters and all those things. You need to really feel it in your body. So 9 times out of 10 in the morning, I'm on the verge of tears. I'm so grateful for what I'm writing about. And I write things that are like you said, I find the silver lining in even challenging situations. Like, you know, if something did go wrong the day before and my car broke down, how grateful I am that there was someone there to support me. How grateful I am for how bravely I showed up and how my mind went straight into action, and how grateful I am for that. So no matter what the situation is, finding that silver lining, like you said, is then what's going to train your brain to find more of that, because it goes, okay, let me find evidence to prove you right. You see all these good things, let me show you more good things. And that is manifestation in a nutshell. We're not just like doing some woo-woo thing with our cauldron and then magically this genie's coming out and then we get all this money. We train ourselves to be grateful for money, to expand money, to hold money, expand our capacity to be the container that can hold that level of like success and wealth. Yeah. And it takes
Yeah,
time, but it is possible and it's so worth it.
it is possible. I went through a period of homelessness when I was around 14, 15. My uncle was the first person who introduced me to astrology. I think I must have been the age of 4 or 5. He spoke to me when I was in that dark space, and he told me about journaling and gratitudes. And he told me, Keisha, I want you every single day to write 3 things you're grateful for, but feel it, 3 things you intend to create, 3 things you're ready to receive, and 3 reasons why you love yourself. I have done that every single day without fail since the age of 14. And in 2022, I went through a miscarriage. Even that night when I had the miscarriage, my mother-in-law helped me through it. She helped me, go through that entire labor process at home. And I remember sitting there thinking, I don't have the energy to gratitude. And then a thought came in my head that I was so grateful for her support. And I wrote it and I felt it. And it was the feeling of finding the silver linings in the darkest of days.
Mm-hmm.
And now, till this day, I will still find those moments, and it can be the heaviest day, and I will say, right, was there a beautiful flower I saw? You've got to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's truly incredible. And if that's one thing that someone can adopt from even listening to our conversation today, I think it's a great habit to adopt.
Yeah. It's more than a habit too. I listened to another podcast actually from a neuroscientist, Tara Swart. I think I'm
Yes.
pronouncing it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she has the book The Signs and plenty more number one bestsellers.
Mm,
So she was a neuroscientist and her husband passed away.
hmm.
And yeah, she went into this, I think it was nearly like 3 years of grief, and she didn't do any work. And that's when this book came out the other side of it. And she was talking about gratitude and how it actually is rewiring the brain.
Yes.
And it's not just because when I first learned about gratitude, I learned about it from The Secret, The Magic,
Yes. Uh-huh.
yeah. And that's everything about it is true, but they are sharing it in that book or in that documentary in a very woo-woo way.
Yeah.
And so that's where all of this woo has gotten this bad rep from, because it doesn't sound like it's backed by anything legit, but it is backed by physics, quantum physics, neuroscience. When you start understanding that, and I mean, some people are just so happy to believe it, and that's incredible. And if it works for you and you get the result, then that helps bring that belief as well. But starting my day with gratitude, if I don't, I notice such a big difference. And then when I go to bed at night is the perfect time to, when you're falling asleep, whether you gratitude morning or night, doesn't matter. When you're going to sleep, envision your wildest dreams. And I do that every single night, and I think I've done that since I was a child. And they say that that's the best brainwave state for manifesting, because again, the neuroscience of it is that our brain doesn't know what's real and what's not. So if I
Yeah.
told you right now to imagine that you went to the fridge and you had this massive yellow lemon, and you squeezed it and the zest was coming out of the lemon and you could smell it, and you took it to the bench and you got a big knife and you cut it in half. And then I want you to look at that half of the lemon and bring it up to your mouth and imagine licking it.
Hmm.
What starts happening in your body?
Yeah. You start feeling as though you're experiencing it.
Yeah, and a lot of people will start salivating, like
Yeah.
literally in
Yeah.
the, yeah, because
Yeah.
your brain literally thinks it's about to eat a lemon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
so,
incredible.
yeah, so when you're going to bed at night, I imagine myself being in my dream home, the smell of coffee in the morning, the walks on the beach, what I'm doing, how I'm feeling. And yeah, I could go into like specific and non-specific manifestors, but as long as you feel it and you love it and it's your dream, do that every night. And I mean, it's a fun way to fall asleep at the very least.
It is, isn't it? As young children, we are the most imaginative and the most creative. So why can we still not do that as adults?
I think the part of my day I'm most excited for is going to bed, and not because I'm tired, but because I love being in my own mind. I
Yeah.
love that imagination before I fall asleep, and I love my dreams. And that was actually something else that, I mean, it's definitely not somewhere someone needs to start, but I was working with a coach once and we did a lot of dream work as well. And if you're the type of person that doesn't remember their dreams, you are always dreaming. We always dream. It's just that we wake up in the morning, the alarm goes off, and then it's forgotten. Poof, it's gone. So if you have a dream journal beside your bed and the first thing you do is pick that up in the morning and you just start writing down anything that you can remember, even
Oh.
if it doesn't make sense. And the more that you do that, you're working and building that relationship with the unconscious mind, because your unconscious mind is receiving something crazy. I used to know the statistic off the top of my head, like 99,000 pieces of information per second. And only about 10% of the information that you're actually receiving, you're then conscious of. Sorry, it's not. It's 0.900000000019% of what's going on around you that your brain's picking up are you actually conscious of. So that's why, like, if you and I were at the same place at the same time, we watched a car crash, you would describe the incident to the police differently. You could say the car was red, but I might say it was black. Or I might have been paying attention to the child, but you might have said there was no kid there because you didn't notice it. So it's
Yeah.
always going to depend on our biases and prejudices as well. So myself as a mother and yourself, we would probably notice the kid before maybe a 16-year-old boy would. It just
Hmm.
depends on what our brain decides is important, and that depends on what we've been programming it to believe is important. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that is so interesting. And dream work might be something that I might start actually adopting as well, because I noticed there are only certain dreams that I remember. And the majority of the time, I'm not remembering the dream. And you're right, because my alarm goes off and that's it. I'm up within that second. I turn the alarm off and that's it. I get going. But to sit down and to actually remember my dreams, because there are certain dreams, and I was very, very close with my grandma as well. She passed away when I was very young. And there are certain times where if she comes to me in a dream, I remember it. And I just wish I could remember even more.
I love dream work for myself because I believe, like you said, our human body is this vessel and we have a soul. I used to think our soul was in our body, but it's not. Weird to understand, but our body is in our soul. And our consciousness or our soul is not bound by this physical body. So when we go to sleep at night, your consciousness doesn't sleep, but your body does. And so, where is our consciousness going? And this is where I absolutely believe in like astral travel or playing in different realms where it's more abstract and yeah, what is it called? Like remote viewing. Some people remote
Hmm.
view in their dream or yeah, I believe I receive messages in my dreams. Sometimes I've had dreams and then the exact thing has happened. I don't even care about the fact that I was able to predict something. I just think that's really cool. I think my inner child is just like, yes, magic is
Yeah.
real. So it's not
Yes.
really, I don't do it from a place of importance. I do it from a place of joy. I love it.
Yes. And I love that, because a place of joy, a place of bliss, a place of enjoyment is a breeding ground for more and
Mm,
abundance.
yeah. I don't think I've done astral travel or remote viewing.
Hmm.
But I have seen things that then happened in the future. So like the one that keeps coming to my mind, for example, is and I've had weird things like this my entire life. So I started telling people when I would sometimes it's not in a dream, sometimes it's like a thought comes into my mind, but I know it wasn't mine, or it sounds like another voice in my head. I'll hear something and I'll go, this is going to happen. And I started telling people, but there have been things where I didn't want to say what it was out loud because I didn't want to manifest it. So, for example, for about a year before my mum got sick with cancer, I would wake up in the middle of the night with anxiety saying, there's a red cross on the calendar, someone close to me is going to die. And I was only 19, 20 at the time. And I just thought, I must be just getting to that age where you start realizing like people die and your grandparents are getting old now and I don't know. And then as soon, yeah, I've never felt that kind of anxiety again since. So I
Mm,
100% believe I knew. Um,
yeah.
and time's not real. So I really believe that when you feel a strong desire or a strong knowing about something, it's because it's already happened. It's because there is a future version of you telling you, nudging you in that direction.
Yes.
And yeah, so one of my dreams was like picturing I was on this walk with this person and it was a nature walk, but it wasn't one I'd ever seen before. And then a snake, we're talking, this person's walking in front of me, I was walking behind. And then in my dream, the snake came out in front and I was too busy talking. He's turned around and gone, there's a snake. Literally the exact thing happened. And it was in the middle of
Wow.
winter in Australia when the snakes should be hibernating, but it had come out to like shed its skin and it was this massive snake. It was so beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I had told that person after I had the dream because I said to him, I was like, if this thing happens, I dreamt it. So when it happened, he was like,
Yes.
no way.
Wow. Wow. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that is incredible.
It happens all the time. I'll have
Yeah.
thoughts and tell people, I'll be like, this is going to happen. I was like, I said it here first.
Yeah.
I
That
would love
that's
to like hone in on my psychic abilities a lot more because I feel like I definitely have like I hear things. I see things more so in my mind's eye than it's not necessarily I see things in reality. But yeah.
yeah. I So like clairvoyance, right? I feel
Mm,
like I tend to be quite clairaudient and clairsentient, where
mm,
I can sense things and I don't know how, but I will just know something.
yeah.
And sometimes, and it's normally during the most mundane tasks where this happens. Like I'll wash the dishes and I'll hear something.
Mm,
Even the way that I came across you, Ashleigh, very interesting. I'm a Gemini, and anytime I get any type of knowing of what to do, it's very collaborative. I love
mm,
collaborating with other people. I love collaborating with other women. I just can sense from energy. And I kid you not, I sent you that message on a whim and I was like, hey, I don't know if you're going to see this, but I think you would be perfect to talk to. I would love to just talk to you and understand more about you because everything you're talking about, it resonates. And I hear it because this is what I think about.
I love that. I love that we're both Geminis, and I feel like I was saying the same kind of prayer not that long ago, where I have good friends in my life, but I've wanted this for years, and I've told like a couple of my girlfriends are on the same wavelength with it, where I'm like, I'm a real connector too, and I'd say you'd be the same. Of like, I find this person and this person, and I go, hey, and I bring all these people together, and we're really good at that. That might be the Gemini thing.
Yeah.
And we're like introverted but social. Yeah. But I have this vision of like I see in my mind's eye like a round table of all these women around, and we all have our different fields of geniuses and expertise, but we're all so uniquely empowered and powerful in our own right. And just like I'll have someone over here who's in homeopathy or something, and I'm so inspired by her, and just to have a whole table of women inspiring one another. I don't know what that's going to look like. Maybe it's going to be like a sister circle. I'd like to do retreats. So, yeah.
We are creative energy as women. We are creator energy, and to be able to co-create together, it's expansive. And well, Ashleigh, I have a few closing questions for you.
Okay.
So, if someone listening right now feels lost, what's one thing you want them to hold on to from today's conversation?
If you could see my life, and I'm sure Keisha's as well, take it as where your permission slip, living proof that things can change so drastically. And it's not going to be an overnight success story, but keep holding on to hope and keep going, because there will be a moment when it takes. I remember someone always saying, just keep going until it takes. And
Yes,
I think just knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel if they're feeling stuck or in a heavy place at the moment.
that is beautiful. And if you could tell little Ashleigh something, what would you tell her?
Girl, God, do we have enough time for that? I'm just so proud of
We do.
her, and I love her so much. Yeah, life's a roller coaster. I think that's the whole point of it. I think the little me had expectations of what it was going to be like when I was an adult. And I think the thing that I've had to grapple with the most in life is that unexpected things happen, loss happens, really horrible things happen to really good people sometimes. And yeah, I totally believe that, as bad as that sounds, it is all for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's one question that you think more people should ask themselves?
Question everything you do. Everything you do. Why do you use that product? Why do you feel the need to rush to the gym? Why do you feel the need to reply to a text so quickly? Why do you feel the need to buy that new dress? Just the more that you question every little thing you do, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And just checking in with yourself builds that relationship with your internal self. And that's what expands consciousness. From there, you'll understand yourself more deeply. And I think our life's journey is, well, they say remembering, right? But remembering what? It's remembering you. It's remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. You know, who was that baby that came in before all the conditioning? Yeah.
Yeah. This has been absolutely beautiful, Ashleigh. Thank you so much for taking time and being here. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as well. And I'm so excited to share this with everyone. I think it's going to be so expansive. So thank you.
Yeah, it was so beautiful. Thanks for having me on.
You're so welcome.